In this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the brilliant new matching stamp and die set from the 2J Stamp Company. And this is the wonderful new sort of gingerbread characters. We've just called it sort of Sam's Gingerbread. And the reason is Sam chose all of these images. He was the one who spent hours looking at different artists' work to do this. And he chose these beautiful images here, which we've reworked into stamps for you. So I'll bring a piece of white card in so you can see them. So you're going to get in the set the 6 beautiful characters, the little Santa hat with a little bow on. The little reindeer one is so cute with a sort of cupcake topping. Another sort of cuter Santa hat, like a snowman really, and a snowman one here with a little nose. We've also done is give you 6 of them in a smaller version as well to give you really little beautiful cute characters. But within this set, you're also going to get the dies to cut them out. So you're going to get the 6 dies to cut out the small characters and the 6 dies to cut out the larger characters, all together in one set, making it far easier to use. You don't have to worry about, oh, I've got the dies, but I can't use them anymore because I don't have the stamp, or I've got the stamp, but I don't want to cut them out. They've all been included in there together. So that makes it a lot easier. There is also, with this set, a paper pad with beautiful images coloured by Leslie Lakin. So here's the sort of original colouring that she did in alcohol pens, so you get a beautiful images. And then what we've done is turn this into a full paper pad, so you'll actually get in there all of those characters, and we've just used a darker version here. And you're going to get sort of, I think it's 3 pages of each. Yes, 3 pages of each. Obviously, I've used nearly all of mine. You're also going to get beautiful papers as well that match exactly. So I'm going to use a couple of the papers in this, but on this one, I want to show you how to stamp the stamp and die and to match them up in a couple of different systems for doing that. So for this technique, what I need is my character, and I've gone with the Santa hat one, cutting out, and I've used this in our tea card, which is almost like a sort of burnt gingerbread colour. However, to make it easier on the video, I will cut it out and stamp it in white. So here I'm using my press to impress, which is the easiest thing ever to stamp this one out. So you simply select which stamp you want from the stamps. So I'm going to go with my one with my Santa hat, and I've just taken a piece of white card. I've just cut this to effectively, this is a piece of A7 white card, so it's half of A6. I'm just going to pop him in the middle. Obviously, to make the project, you'd be doing it in this sort of tea colour, or you could use craft card as well, although I've found craft card doesn't colour as well. And then we simply need to pick up our stamp, and as I'm colouring him with pencils, I'm just going to use a simple Onyx Black VersaFine, ink my stamp, and cut him out. So ink my stamp and stamp him. So there I have my stamped image. Now you want to line up the die with this, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do this. So the first way that we would normally do is to take the matching die and to look through the die and line it up, and you can do that. And as soon as you see any of the outside line, it's in the wrong place. So it needs to be, so it's completely covering the outside line. So we simply tape that down and we cut it through in our normal sandwich as we would do in our machine. So I'm just popping this one through my Kaleido, down onto my base plate, my 3mm plate, and I'm just going to run that through off air. So all you'll see is my elbow moving. And like that, you can see I've cut him perfectly. However, if you are unsure, or you want to make sure it's exactly right, this is a technique you use. So we take our stamped image, I've got him stamped again, and we take a piece of waste from where we've already cut one out. You simply place that down so that you see the image perfectly inside. We take our die and we slot it back in, picking up both pieces of card. I'm then going to just tape those pieces of card together so that they don't move, and again I run that through my machine. So it's 2 different ways to cut them, but if you are concerned or you're not good at lining up the die, then use this second technique of using the waste to see through. If you see here, if I peel that off, you can see he's cut perfectly. So that's how we will cut and stamp, or stamp and cut, our perfect gingerbread person. You can, of course, cut them first and then take your stamp and lay it on top. However, that is a lot harder to do, and I wouldn't recommend it, because you have to get that in exactly the right place, and it's not the easiest thing to do. So I would go with one of those two techniques. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our card now. So I need to cut one of these. I've got one of these cut out, should I say, but I need to show you. Again, just cut in this tea colour, and this is from the Essential card by Craft Artist. And to colour this, I'm just using some light fast pencils, the sort of waxy pencils. These are from Caran d'Ache. So some of my absolute favourites, but they work so well as they're a pigment pencil on there. So with the hat, I'm just going to colour him in red. And what we've done is leave all the space nice and open, so you don't have to be a good colourist to make these work at all. So I'm going to make his hat red. I want to make his bow tie red. So I'm just going around his bow tie. And then I'm going to take my white pencil and I'm going to colour in the sort of fur section on the Santa hat. Nice and simple, and I find leaving it sketchy looks the best for this. So you can sort of go heavier at the edges, you can shade it, you know, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And then I'm just going to colour in the eyes, the mouth, the sort of button there. I'm going to put a couple of lines in. So I'm following the lines on the actual stamped image to sort of put the white icing on. Nice and simple, following those lines. And you can get a white pencil if you just want to do this and just sort of whiten the brown, really, you know, quite simply. For the rosy cheeks, I'm just using a peach colour, and we'll fill those in like that. And then I'm going to grab a white gel pen. These are really good for things like this because you've got little dots on there. So I'm just going to fill those. I'm going to put a little highlight into each eye, which makes it look a little bit more realistic. And I'm just following where those little dots are. Nice and simple, which gives him a real 3D look. But to 3D him a little bit further, I'm going to use a finger dauber and VersaFine, and this is in vintage sepia. So I'm just going to take a little bit onto my finger dauber, pick him up into the air, and just flick a little bit around the edges. And that gives him that sort of baked look. As we know, biscuits sort of brown slightly more on the corners and the edges. So just going around like that. And then finally, I've missed one spot. So we'll just put the little section on the end of his hat with a white gel pen, or we could use one of the little bells from Craft Artist. And there is our coloured snowman. Very, very quickly a coloured gingerbread man. So you see how we've gone from a very plain to sort of a beautiful 3D biscuit. It really looks like it. So we're going to make a card, and this is the card that we're making. And I've simply taken a piece of our Burgundy Craft Artist Essential card in 5x7, and I've added a strip at 2 inches across the bottom. I've taken a piece of ribbon, and this again is a Crafts 2 ribbon with spots on, but I'm sure you've got loads of ribbon. If you're anything like me, you'll go into all of the shops towards Christmas, and I've got so many packs of mixed Christmas ribbon I've bought for wrapping and things. I've added a piece of 6mm tape onto this, and then I've used power tape, as power tape I find is perfect not only for sticking down ribbon but also for cutting the edges without it fraying. So I'm just going to trim off my excess just like that, nice and perfect. Okay, and then I've got a card blank here that is 6x8, and I've covered this in the tea. So I'm just going to add a little bit of foam tape, or to reveal the foam tape I've got on the back of our panel. Nice and simple. pop that down nice and evenly. I've got a little sentiment. This is stamped from the John Next Door Christmas sentiments for 2024. So if they're not out when you're watching this, they are out in July. And that's on a little bit of scrap paper. It's literally the little bit that comes off the edge of this 8-inch sheet here. It's perfect. You get like a sort of, you're basically getting an inch, so it's the right size. And then we've got our characters, and I've added a little bit of foam tape onto here. So I'm just going to pop those as if they're sort of biscuits randomly around this free space here. And a simple, quick Christmas card made really easy, just 3 stamps and a little bit of colouring. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John Next Door and Crafts 2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.